How often, when you visit a museum and you look at a piece of art behind glass or a historical artifact, how often do you think about that glass showcase, about who makes it, about where it comes from, about the function it serves inside of a museum? You probably spent too little time thinking about that. Luckily, the engineers and the people at Meyvaert think about this sort of stuff all of the time, including how to face digital challenges with their glass showcases, including how they can mix form and function and make the showcase into an actual storytelling tool. The company that the next speaker is from has worked for the Rijksmuseum, the Louvre, and all sorts of huge internationally renowned museums, and is here to talk about reimagining showcases. Please give a warm welcome for Mr. Serge Cappon.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me here, Robin, in this fantastic, iconic building. 20 years ago, I also organized an event here, so for me it's a throwback in time. First of all, who knows Meyvaert in this public? Quite some people still, so thank you for that. And in fact, Meyvaert, Meyvaert exists since 1826, so it is in fact older than the state of Belgium. So I guess the guy you see over there has no clue what AI would have done in the society of today. But we have to think about it today. And Robin said, look, maybe you don't see the showcase or you don't notice the showcase around the artifact. But in fact, that's what we want, that you don't notice the glass box around it, because all the attention should go to the artifact. So we are, in fact, still active in the physical world, not in the digital world, which Bob demonstrated there. So my presentation will not be that fancy, but I hope you get a clue of what we are doing. When I was preparing this presentation, I was thinking, what can I say there? So I asked ChatGPT, how does the Museum of the Future look like? Can you make a picture and a description? And then it turned out to show me the future, the Museum of the Future in Dubai, which of course was not what I wanted to see. And then I prompted again, and I think this goes into the direction of what we want to discuss today, is shift in how museums think about visitors' data and experience, where we as a making company, an engineering company, of course, have a role as a partnering with digital experts, with museums, with exhibition designers. Another question, is this a real picture or you think it's an AI generated? Who thinks this is a real picture? The ones that now lift the hand are right, because this is a project from some years ago already, but it shows how thin the line is between what you see and the perception. What you see today, when you look at an image, I tend to think this is an AI-generated one, but this is a very special project we did in Saudi Arabia with curved glass. So it demonstrates the capability we still have in the making industry. No AI was involved in creating that process. So at Meyvaert, everything turns around the holy artifact. I think most of you guys know, or people know, this mystic lamb, which is the artifact in the lowlands, in fact, where we created the showcase around it, which is in fact a climatized room. And also there, AI had no impact. It's a project of 6-7 years ago, where today it may have some impact in the storytelling, but especially, and that's of course another thing where Bob talked about, at Meyvaert we are looking to AI to optimize our production and our engineering capabilities, design capabilities of the showcases. So AI for us in first instance will have impact on material efficiency, on climate management, and on the technical side of the production. There was a lady of a Brussels museum here who was talking to me, and she said, oh, the thing with showcases is always how do you maintain them, and can we open the doors ourselves? This is a huge showcase in Nice for the Matisse artifact, with doors that are like 6 meters high, but still one person can open that showcase. So, of course, this has nothing to do with AI, but I just wanted to show it because there are some museums here, and maintenance and the daily physical things you do in a museum still remain very, very important. So we think about that in the engineering phase. And as Meyvaert, we work together in different relations with museums, with exhibition designers, with people like CREATE, with fit-out contractors. So we are there to grasp what they want to show around the historical artifact. And I think if you look from different points of view, for museums, designers, and for us, there's also different questions related to the use of AI. I think it's very overwhelming. So nowadays, I cannot see what the future will bring for museums. But I think when you work for a museum, this is the kind of questions you ask yourself. How will it impact? Will I have control over all my partners in the process of using AI for my museum? And then as an exhibition designer, this is a museum in Antwerp, the KMSKA. It's another angle, also controlling all partners and subs in the design process of your exhibition, convincing museums in using technology and when not to use it to create silence and to create a relaxed ambience. And what I discovered is also that there's different types of museums, of course, but there's also different types of persona that visit that museum. And I think everybody should be aware of the relation of all the types of people and persona that visit a museum in relation to their collection. And there AI can play a very interesting role, I think, in the storytelling process, where you offer individualized content for your visitor, depending on his state of mind, on his profile or her profile. And today, next to the persona that were defined by John Falk, some new persona are appearing, like the digital native, the social visitor, and the cultural tourist, which are there for other reasons than the traditional museum visitor. So I think this is my takeaway from the research I did, that museums should be aware of those persona and what they create in their stories around artifacts and their collection. What are the challenges for Meyvaert? Of course, that's something we are currently asking ourselves, because technology is changing a lot and has changed a lot the recent years. For us, of course, there's always the physical artifact, but we also want it to be the interface, or the showcase should be the interface between that artifact and between the visitor. So there's a whole story to tell around the artifact, and the challenge for us is how will we do it in combination with AV players, with storytellers, with designers, because that's where we integrate all that ambitions of the different parties within the process. This is another example of a project we did in the Middle East, where it's unfortunately another situation now, but we hope to go back very soon. And then, of course, this one is also, I wanted to show it because it's also three worlds that come together: the object, the technology, and the visitor, but also the people that are restoring the painting. There we created a glazed facade, which enables the restorators to work on it while the thousands and tens of thousands of visitors are having a look at the restoration and the painting. So even those kind of special things we are involved in, traditional, physical, of course, nothing to do with AI. Challenges also for us is we work with very renowned designers like Jean Nouvel. So also those people have an impact on how the story will be told in your museum. And I think you can be as ambitious as you want as a museum, but if that kind of designer steps in, he wants to tell his story and even until the dustbin. He wants control over all things. So that's also something to take into account when designing your exhibition. The level of architecture and design exhibition that is required. So you see a very minimalistic thing here, which also I think technology is also sometimes disturbing in terms of some visitors want to be relaxed when they visit a museum. So I think museums will be some kind of the last safe havens and to come down to a relaxed situation. What also is important is we look to technology also in terms of materialization of showcases, where we do a lot of testing, and we also hope that AI can help us in combining different technologies when producing those physical showcases. Important for museums also, and important for us, is that we always have to create museum-grade showcases, which means that there's only 10% of air exchange rate between the showcase and the outer world, just to protect the artifact. So combining technology is, from our perspective, not always easy, because we have to make sure that the heat within the showcase doesn't affect the inner climate. So adding technology is not that easy when you work with very sensitive artifacts. For instance, the book of Anne Frank, the more technology we would add, the more risk there is to the book. For this showcase, for instance, we had to come up with a solution to disconnect the showcase from the wooden floor, because the trembling that the people provoke when they are visiting the museum goes into the book. So we had to make a showcase in a special case, disconnected from the floor slab, to make sure that there's no impact from the trembling of the visitors. So, and also inside, of course, if you add extra technology, it creates heat sometimes. This all has to be tested. We have 25 engineers working day to day on this kind of challenges. So also for them, AI will bring up some new challenges, of course. And another question that arises when thinking about AI is that we are there for 20 to 30 years with our showcases. In most of the museums we supply, showcases of 20 years are still there, functioning very well, so that's good. That's sustainability in the real meaning of the word. So we are a very sustainable company, in fact. But the thing is, of course, technology changes each 3 to 5 years at a very rapid pace. And the artifacts we protect sometimes are there for centuries. So that's also something to think about as a museum. How will we create the perfect ambience for an artifact that has to be protected for the coming centuries, in combination with the technology that protects it, and in combination with the technology that does the storytelling around it. Johan was talking about 10 to 12 seconds. I found that 8 seconds is the average attention span now of a human being. So compared to a goldfish, there's not much of a difference. And I think the question we should ask ourselves is, will technology be able to turn the tide and enhance that attention span? Because indeed the number of impulses everyone gets, visual impulses, is that high that sometimes you need to create an atmosphere where people can look a little bit longer to the artifact, or can plunge into the history of an artifact. This, for instance, is in Kaapskil Museum in Holland, where we created the first oxygen-free showcase. And this showcase is connected with this special technical room to preserve it, and also to, of course, to push out the oxygen out of the showcase. Lighting is dimmable in function of visitor numbers, so if there's no visitors, the lighting is dimming. So all these technical things are taken also into account. So also interesting to think about when you open your exhibition. And to have that royal moment, that royal encounter in your museum. This is a very recent project we won. This is the Tapestry of Bayeux. This is a piece of fabric of 70 meters. We are currently designing a big showcase for the British Museum. And I think this will be the first project for us where AI will play an important role, because the storytelling as such is important, but also the crowd control is important. So the story has to be in line with the crowds that are going to visit this when it opens later this year in London. So I think this will be a part of the design discussions we have with the people of Opera Amsterdam. So first, it's interesting to see even being not involved always in that storytelling process, to see what AI will do on that side. And I think the main thing for today, for all the people here in the room, is, okay, where is the data and what will we do with the data? There's data on collection level to bring your story, to do the storytelling. There's data we can manage on the showcase level, humidity control, lighting, all kinds of technical aspects that are related to conservation, because we're always in a conservation world active. Data on the building level that has to communicate with the showcase, with the storytellers. And then the museum ecosystem that has its own data. So I think the challenge will be for all AI partners and consultants to work on this level together and to engage all partners as soon as possible in the process. When I looked at the agenda, I think to make it relevant to you guys, these were the questions or the remarks up front, the organization. I think our role is to still create attention around the world heritage there is, to help to protect it in a decent way in the physical museum. So we're not that involved in AV creation, but of course it has to be part of that storytelling. Also a call not to kill human creativity, but indeed to enhance it and to help it, to limit the concept design phase, to limit the production time on AV side. I think that's a good thing AI will bring. My goal, as I said, to involve all partners as soon as possible in the process, so that time and budgets are under control. And of course, from our side, we don't want to concede on preservation and protection levels. That's when Meyvaert comes in a project. So for me, the question is, in this fast world, will AI help us to make museums safe havens and slower spaces than the outside world sometimes? So indeed, we hope that AI can help us in creating and designing that encounter, that special encounter, those special seconds when you meet an artifact or when you look to an artifact. This is a fantastic project in Mumbai, in India, we delivered last year, where a lot of artifacts from all over the world come together in an old colonial building. And this is the fantastic building. And I wanted to show this for my colleague Nishant, who is now recovering from a brain stroke in Delhi. So I hope everything goes well with him, but this is my ode to my colleague. Little words about Meyvaert. So showcases, of course. Our purpose is to turn concepts into reality for museums together with all the partners in the process, the partners that are mentioned today, with a special focus on presenting, preserving, and protecting your artifacts. And this is where we are active and localized in the world of museums. So from, let's say, from Chicago, in fact, to Tokyo and Singapore, we have some running projects, actually. Thank you very much.